Hi. Well, this afternoon UK time, this morning your time, Clayton. I'm really happy to have Clayton Thomas from the RootsBrands to talk to us today about your fantastic products. How are you doing, Clayton?
Catherine, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. I apologize for my mobile office today, but it's a pleasure to be here. We let life take us where it leads.
Yeah, too right. And that's what we've got to do, go with the flow at the moment. So, can you just start off by telling us the ethos and how you got started with the Roots company? Because it's a great story.
Yeah, we created Root really for two reasons. One, to help, well, not really to help, but to fulfill, my wife's mission. She's really put here to heal people, and she has a unique background, have a master's in science, PhD and EDD, postdoc at Harvard in nanotechnology and bioscience engineering, and a whole lot of additional biotech and pharma experience. But through her life experience as a mom, having Lyme disease when she was 19, multiple types of cancer, losing kids to cancer, having our 17-year-old had cancer when she was 2, and I think the most powerful thing of everything that she's done is being a mom, right? Because most solutions come from moms trying to find solutions to take care of their families, first. And she's been put here to do a lot of really good things for a lot of people, and she's taken her biotech background and her life experience to go the alternative to the industry she worked in. Every time she had a health issue, she was very integrative in how she took care of herself, even having access to the leading components of biotech and pharma. So when we were introduced to six or so years ago, it was a combination of my background, from, you can say, the integrative space, from animal and human wellness, growing up in a veterinary practice and such, and then her background. But she's created some products and solutions that are designed to be extremely relevant in today's environment. And then because of having the solutions and knowing that, you can say, she created the goods, right? We had to create a business model that would facilitate what our greater goals were. And that's, one, to take care of people, but then also understanding the landscape and not wanting to put money back into the beast, as I like to call it, when you look at social media and such, where we as humans, we need a sense of community, right? And that's been attempted to be stripped from us, through social distancing and such. But the social component of our online communication has become so prevalent and so valuable, but our desire to connect online and socially has been so manipulated, and, you can say, bastardized, because these very large entities now have found that just by using our information, our behavior, our data, they've been able to create trillion-dollar market valuations without ever providing anything of value. And we wanted to take the current infrastructure, the infrastructure that people already have, right? Our communities of social sharing, and put the value back into the people that actually create the value, right? Because most products or services are consumed today through some semblance of referral.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it's someone finding advertising online, or your friends telling you something, and then you make a purchase through usually an online link. So not many things are purchased through stores anymore. So we created Root as this construct to take Christina's work and put it in a model where we can help a lot of people, but not only help people from a health perspective, but also help them financially, because we need both. Because if we put more money into our communities, we can do a lot more good. And the way that the construct has been set up is to strip money from communities. So if we can improve health and we can improve some prosperity, well, we win on all aspects. So that's where everything started from. And I wanted to disrupt the entire financial system for consumerism. That was kind of important too.
It is important, and all these things fit together, because we talk a lot about, you know, at the end of the day, money counts, and putting your money where your mouth is and supporting ethical companies which are really pouring stuff back into the community is so important at the moment. And I think we've seen that so much over the last year and a half, and I think a lot of people are passionate about that. And also a lot of people are at a stage where it's given them time to think about what they want to do with their lives and how they want to serve their communities better.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win situation, isn't it?
Well, and it's the two sides to the sword, right? As you look at, as consumers, that we want to put our money into ethical companies, but when you look at the other side, that companies should be putting money back into the people that are creating their value.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the part that's been missing. Is you look at virtually every company, every major company for sure. Like I'll use Amazon as an example, but you can throw Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of them together in the same box. What value have they put back into the populations that actually created all their value? It's our behavior. It's our consumption of products. It's our referrals of friends and family that join these networks. Yet never have they put money back into the people that created all of that value.
Exactly.
And we have the responsibility, you know, as entrepreneurs or as business people, to give as much as we want our clients or customers to invest in us, right? That trust should go both ways. And, you know, when I looked at it, I think everybody has a number, right? You say, oh, well, you know, if you wanted to retire, what's your number? Well, I don't think anyone's number is 260 billion, right? So when you look at some of the valuations that have been created and what the net worth of many of these tech icons and such have become, it's like, you don't need to sit on $200 billion. You can do a lot of good with a lot of money. And if you do a lot of good, you're going to have more in return. But the problem has been, that's what's been lost. You know, so we wanted to create a model to do both. You know, as we as a company, you know, as an owner of a company, and I'm both, right? Because I'm one that's constantly sharing our mission and in developing the brand, but also as a company, we know the more people we help, the more we serve, the more value we bring, the more we put in the community, the more we're also going to get in return. Our margins are good, but we've taken a lot of our margin to make sure that we're putting it back into where the value is created, so we can be perpetual in that approach.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And it's really important, because one of the things I find is when I find products that I really love and really believe in, one, the very nature is you share them. One, you're
Yes.
using them yourself and you educate yourself and you're getting that personal experience. And then from that personal experience, you share it with loved ones. And then from there, you're feeding back suggestions back into the company all the time as well. And I think when you've got that thing, the people that are using your products are your best advocates, because they really understand it, but they've got that personal experience as well, which is crucial. Yeah. Okay, so you've got a trilogy of products at the moment, haven't you? Which are really lovely and just go together beautifully. So should we start with the Clean Slate? Can you just tell us the Clean Slate and what makes it different? Because there's a lot of zeolite products out there on the market, aren't there?
There's a few. I mean, I've been fortunate because of the last 16 years. I've kind of been around every one of them. You know, whether it was from a distribution standpoint initially, a consulting, and then formulation, and then manufacturing basis. You know, and it's funny that when the time is right, everything appears as needed. And clinoptilolite and this amazing little zeolite, space is something that has been really, really untapped, for a long period of time. And it's a crystal, and this amazing little crystal in clinoptilolite that's been used for millennia, right? The Romans used it to line the aqueducts. It was just it was published for the first time and really discovered last year for the first time that the Mayans 5,000 years ago were doing the same thing that the Romans were doing. And there were, as we understood, there was no connection between cultures. And there's an importance right now of being able to remove the toxins that are in us, that have been in us, that are in our environment, that are around us, that continue to poison us. And this little crystal is and always has been the solution to these problems. It's been used, throughout history for environmental cleanup of all aspects. It's been used in kitty litter. It's been used to clean up some of the water that was coming out of Fukushima initially. It's been used in Chernobyl. It's been used for oil cleanup for a century. But as over the last 16 to 20 years, as this market has developed with people using this amazing little crystal internally, whether it's in its powdered form or now creating different solutions, it's gone from creating rudimentary processes to break apart this crystal using acids to put it in solution, to now what Christina's done is take her background. And this came from having experience in biotech and also understanding nanotechnology and bioscience engineering, from a Harvard level, that she was, with some of our team, able to put together a process that not only takes and breaks apart the crystal to free up even more binding space for what the crystal can do to remove and trap environmental toxins like heavy metals, whether it's aluminum or mercury or cadmium, arsenic, lead, cesium, strontium, gadolinium, viral particles, mold spores, bacteria, biotoxins from like Lyme, spirochetes and such, graphene, all of these different environmental pollutants that always have been prevalent, that have been in us since we were conceived, but people are becoming even more aware of today. But most importantly, she created this new superstructure of being able to break apart this amazing little crystal. But then we're freeing up a massive amount of the bioavailable silica, which is a key building block, right? And it's funny how the world and everything around us leaves us clues, right? And that, the evil aspects of the world that we live in, they survive and thrive on symbolism, right? Yeah. And they throw a lot of that symbolism in our face. But through some symbolism, you can actually see the keys for our foundational health. And one of the areas in the United States that has the most value for business and for property is Silicon Valley, right? And we have a problem right now because of China not producing semiconductors and microchips that are made from silica. And when you actually get into what our bodies are made of, it's water and a lot of silica. It's the primary building block, but it's something that's been kept from us. This amazing crystal not only has the ability to remove and bind and trap all the toxins that are killing us, but if processed properly, which we're the only ones who've done this, and you use the right quality of ingredients, which is crucial, right? You have to use the best source of clinoptilolite. You want something that it has massive amounts of bioavailable silica. And we're fortunate to source from really a sole source mine in the United States that has the purest stuff available, 97% pure clinoptilolite. That's 3% bentonite. And it has 66.7% silica. So it's when processed, you have the ability to remove, and then you're delivering the silica. She loaded this with a bunch of sea salt trace minerals. So you're getting the trace minerals you need while you're removing the heavy metals that inhibit the use or block the use of those trace minerals. So you're doing a perfect exchange, and you have improved permeability. So it's something that is classed. People say, oh, well, it's a zeolite product. I'm like, well, if you want to make it really simple, yes, it's in the class, but this is so much more advanced than any other product that's ever been in the category. And we see that with outcomes.
Yeah, I was going to say,
is not making claims saying, well, we have this process or this is better than everything else because we're different and we're special. What we rely on is just the data, and you look at the outcomes and you look at, what's happening and why. And we're really fortunate to have some really amazing, medical professionals, scientific professionals, PhD research scientists from all over the world that collaborate with us, that are looking at data and going, we've never seen anything like this before. And that's what's important.
So what sort of outcomes on a, in terms of clients that have been using it have really blown you away? And that could be two-legged or four-legged.
Yeah, the speed that things are happening, and usually on the bottle, it's recommended for 10 drops twice a day, right? That's recommended dosage, because everything else that I'd worked with, we'd found that dosing at 10 drops was good. But then when we started to see experience in the community, found that 10 drops was actually way too much for a lot of people to start with. So we recommend everybody start with just 1 drop. And people are getting life-changing results, even using 1 single drop in the morning and 1 at night. So we then started to look at, well, that's not a physical mechanism, right? And some people understand the energetics, right? We understand homeopathy, that it's really just energy transfer, not a physical delivery of something. And because of the process and what Christina's done, you see a combination of the two. Yes, physically, we're actually trapping and binding and delivering nutrients, but the energetic component is communicating with the body to do some stuff that's not been seen before. And we've done heart rate variability testing with high level medical devices with PhD research scientists that have been doing this for a long time, and looking at real data, not just anecdotal comments to say, well, I saw this, but to look at excretion analysis, to look at heart rate variability, to look at your aura, look at your chakras, look at your doshas, look at your meridians, and how all of these components are responding to a really simple process. And it's just blown us away, because it's not something that you could predict to say, oh, we're going to do this. We never thought that you could take 10 drops, 2 capsules, 1 sachet, and in 15 minutes drop your biological age by 20 to 30 years. But we've seen it and we've proven it. So you could never predict that. You just have to look at performance. And then the same thing goes when we're looking at animals, right? Because we know, in growing up in a veterinary practice, there's no placebo effect in animals. If something's going to work.
Yeah, that's why I love working with them so much, because they're just so pure. And also you don't get the resistance as well, the mental resistance with animals.
Yeah. And if you're going to get outcomes, you're going to see them. And we've seen it in all different aspects of, whether it's dogs, cats, horses, trying to think, pigs. We've had some results with pigs. We've got a really cool Facebook group called Root Pets that there's some great information on. But when you look at the household pets with cats and dogs, and you see the changes in activity, you see the reduction in issues. One of the coolest thing is we've had this happen with a lot of dogs is cataracts, because they'll get cloudy eyes over time because of the toxicity in the house. And you can take pictures of that. It's really easy to document cataracts, right? You take a picture and their eyes are just glazed over. And in a short period of time, their eyes aren't glazed over anymore. You go, well, you're not going to tell them, hey, I'm going to give you this and I'm going to clear your eyes up. If it works, it works. Yeah. So that's really cool. And you see, you can see older dogs start acting like puppies in a matter of days as you start to clean them up, because biologically, and you know this, I mean, animals, their metabolism is so much faster. We know that dogs age 7 times faster than we do. They're smaller, and you can see responses much quicker. And I think that's something that's just absolutely amazing to do.
And I think, Clayton, what's really so important is often our animals are a warning signal for what's going on with us humans, because I work predominantly with people and their animals, and a lot of the issues that the animals are displaying and showing the symptoms of much quicker, the humans go on to develop. The animals are telling them, look, you've got to sort this out in your own life as well as helping me as well. Just sometimes, obviously, because the animals age quicker, the symptoms manifest quicker in the animals and the humans. So it's important for people to look at both in conjunction. So in terms of the Clean Slate, that's something that people can take directly into the mouth or in a drink or in food, correct?
Yeah, you can take it. You can take it directly in your mouth. Sorry, my background's going to change for a minute. You can take it directly in your mouth. It's going to taste a little salty with a little citric flavor. So if you like it, great. If you don't like it, you can put it in a little water and drink it. It doesn't matter. You can put it on food. It's best to be taken straight with water or directly in your mouth. If you're giving it to your pets, you can put it on their food. That's fine. It's that way, you're getting the dosage. You don't want to put it in their water because they don't drink the whole thing all at once. You can use it in different manners. It'll take the glyphosate and such out of red wine. It'll make reds taste absolutely amazing. If you like cooking rice, if you put like 5 drops or 5-10 drops in a pot of rice, it'll suck out a lot of the arsenic. So it'll make white rice whiter, and it'll completely change the flavor profile, which is amazing. It'll have rice tasting the way rice was supposed to taste. So there's many different ways you can use it, but ideally it's just, directly in your mouth or with water. You can flush it around in your mouth. So, it will detoxify your gums. It'll detoxify your cheeks. And then when you swallow it, it'll do what it's supposed to do. It's got so many different applications.
Brilliant. And any studies on the effect on the microbiome? Because we know that our microbiome is under attack from so many different sources these days. So have you had any results in terms of improvement in the microbiome with this product?
I knew I was taking an Uber, and then I said, get here.
Hold on a second.
That's all right. Yeah.
So looking at the microbiome benefits, and this is where you start to pull in the other two aspects of the Trinity, right? Is one, we know glyphosate and heavy metals will destroy gut function and destroy the microbiome. So it's really important to start to remove toxins. So you do see some benefits with Clean Slate alone. But when you start to add Restore, and Restore is something that it's never been done before. The ingredients that are used have never been used in the concentration that are used. But the delivery mechanism and the process that Christina created using this quantum nano emulsion production and delivery process is really unique. But the combination of ingredients are designed to help regenerate the microbiome, help to kill off a lot of the fungus, the mold, the yeast. And what's really, really important, and she knew this was coming. She knew this whole COVID environment was coming about 5 years ago. And she was told 27 years ago when she was in her mid-20s at a retreat that she was put here to heal people, but to deal with a war that was coming on healthcare. She did, and the people that were telling her were like, "There's a banner of Esther that we see over you, and there's this war coming on healthcare, and you're here. You've been put here to help heal people." And they're like, "I don't know what a war on healthcare." And Christina was working at Pfizer at the time. And she's like, "A war on healthcare? What are you talking about?" Fast forward 27 years and you go, now we know. And, so Restore is created to help create these barriers, right? And this is what's really important with this current environment and what's really happening is you have to give your body and your immune system these blockades, this additional assistance to deal with what we're being exposed to. And the key thing that people are dying from is fungus and mold. Because if you have your immune system that gets whacked and it gets knocked down, no matter how it happens, whether it's from you getting injected with something and choosing to do that, or if you're being exposed to an environment where other people around you have elected that, and the shedding and the expression, not just the physical expression, but the quantum energetic expression of that toxicity is communicating with your system and creating chaos. The reduction in your immune system is one thing, but what happens in that is it causes mold and yeast and fungus to absolutely explode its growth in your body. And that's where the lung problems people are having, and the suffocation and such that's happening, the pneumonia, cancer. When you do autopsies or necropsies on cancer patients that have died, they didn't die from cancer. They died from fungal overgrowth. It just takes over your system and it kills you. So you have to do some things to work to kill that stuff off. Right. And that's why, having anti-parasitics that are antiviral like ivermectin and such are really, really important. And what's funny is ivermectin is an anti-parasitic. It's a dewormer, right? We know that for horses. We know that for animals. How often do you deworm your animals? Usually twice a year. How often do we deworm people? We haven't done it in like 30 years. And I was talking with my hydrotherapist about this a couple weeks ago. She's like, you know what? When I was growing up in Eastern Kentucky, we would get dewormed as kids twice a year. Just haven't done it since I was a kid, but now using some of the protocols we're doing with Clean Slate, with Restore and Zero In, and adding in a little ivermectin when needed. She was flushing worms. She's got clients flushing worms. I've seen stuff come out of me now. I'm like, well, that's better out than in. So
I love a bit of parasitology. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's something that's been suppressed, right? We're like, yeah, we kind of forgot to do that.
Yeah.
And these are all the things that create the weakness in us. And, that make us susceptible to being victims of, you can say, our environment or the environment that's created around us. So it's different. And then,
so the Restore is really looking at supporting people's immune system, isn't it? And in terms of antioxidants and anti-inflammatory.
Yeah, you can say your gut, your immune system works as an anti-inflammatory, both internally and topically. Yeah. Which has been absolutely amazing just to figure out with use, because of how she created this delivery mechanism and how these ingredients all work together. It's a phenomenal anti-inflammatory. But one of the coolest things is it's also probably the greatest skincare product you've ever had. If you take a little of the leftover Restore that you get in your sachet, like I had mine, I was taking with me as I was dropping my car off. You take what's left on the inside of this and you just put it on your face and use it as a facial, either for a couple hours or overnight. You will visibly look younger every day. It's like a 4-hour facial. And I was just getting feedback from one of our ambassadors day before, today's Thursday, so day before yesterday, when he was in the office. He had a 23-year-old girl that had just horrible acne. And he gave her a sachet and a couple sachets and said, here, what you have to do is just do a facial at night for 3 days straight. Watch what happens. He didn't know what was actually going to take place, but he was like, I got a feeling this will help you. Do it for 3 days. After 3 days, her face was completely clear.
Wow.
He's like, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen, but that's kind of cool. So you have something that's multi-purpose. And I think that's one of the important things to understand, is that when you have really, really high quality stuff, you can figure out how to apply it. it's a lot like what we're seeing with ivermectin right now, right? And since we both understand the animal space, you know how to use it and how to apply it, but when you look at its benefits and what it's proven to do and how it's been used, you go, oh, wait a minute, we need to reapply how we're using this, because there's some areas of benefit that maybe we haven't been taking advantage of. And
absolutely, because
we're seeing that.
Yeah, how things work holistically in the body, right? Getting away from the, this is a symptom of things. Most of us who work holistically now know that most so-called diseases have got the same root causes of toxicity, lack of communication within the body again. So you're really looking at getting to the root cause of the issues, aren't you? And can you use
they all do, is when you look at the data, right? And this was published back in 1974 before the World Health Organization sold out to the evil empire. But they'd proven that back in 74, that at the time they knew that 85% of all chronic degenerative diseases were caused by environmental toxins, heavy metals and such. There was a 20-year study done on 350,000 lives in the UK that was published a few years ago, looking at the big 5 issues, and what the data shows that the big 5, whether it's cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, obesity, hypertension, were all caused by environmental toxins. It's all heavy metals, right? So we know what the cause is, but this part of the conversation has not been something that's been made really, really open to the public, because it goes against the narrative, because the system has been built upon identifying the symptoms that are all caused by the metals, that can be diagnosed as an issue, that then can be prescribed petroleum derived or different medications that just create this cascade of additional symptomology, but created just a cash cow of a business system to just suck money out of people and to keep them sick.
And keep them sick and keep them dependent. So before we go on to the lovely Zero In, which I'm really fascinated by, what about people that are on medication? So are your products safe to use for people that are, or animals that are on prescribed medication?
Yeah, what's really important is if you're on medication of all different kinds, could be hypertension, could be cholesterol, psych meds are really, really important. But first, you have to understand a really simple premise, that a healthy, functioning body does not need medication.
Yeah.
Right? If it's working properly, you don't need drugs. All kinds of drugs, right? Even with the conversations that are going on today in psychedelics, right? There's so many conversations about psychedelics and mushrooms and what can be done with mushrooms and the production of DMT. Well, your brain produces DMT if your serotonin pathways work properly. It's called dreaming.
Exactly.
Right. So if you're on different medications, or if you're being treated by a healthcare professional, for a specific diagnosis, which we know the cause of, one, you want to start low with all the products. With Clean Slate, you want to start with 1 drop. With Restore, you might start with 1/4 or 1/3 of a sachet, and then use that throughout the day and increase your usage a little bit. But you'll want to work with your healthcare professional, because what we have found over the last couple of years of all different kinds is that with continual use of the Trinity, you won't likely need the medication that you're on, or you'll need less of it, which is a great thing, because then you're decreasing your risk of side effects. And as your system becomes more functional, you just don't need medication anymore. Yeah. I mean, Dr. Dory Narbo, who's one of our advisors, a good friend of ours, she's a published author, a PhD researcher, a leading researcher in the stem cell space, suffered multiple heart attacks, when she was in her early 50s, wrote a few books on it. She's been on high blood pressure medication for over 30 years. But in the first couple months, she was able to reduce it. And after 6 or 7 months of being on Clean Slate and Zero In, she was off her meds, and her blood pressure is better controlled now without medication than it ever was on 30 years of medication.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you on that. Yeah,
you just have to really work. You have to work with your healthcare professional, but it's really, really important also to understand that when it comes to your health, you are the decision maker. It's your choice, right? I was chatting about this with one of my colleagues because his sister has had lupus since she was 17 years old, and she's in her late 40s now, and she I think she goes to Johns Hopkins. You know, she was one of the earliest stage diagnoses of lupus in the country, you know, when she was 17 years old. And she took a bottle of Clean Slate to her doctor that she's been seeing for like 30 years and said, "Hey, I want to take this." And her doctor laughed at her. She said, "Oh, that's not going to help you." It's like, that stuff's not going to help you. So she started doing her dosage, went back for her checkup 3 months later, and all of her labs had improved significantly. Her blood work was better. And the doctor's like, "What are you doing? Because your blood work's never changed, and it's better than it has been in 30 years. She's like, "Oh, you know those drops you said that wouldn't work? Yeah, that's the only thing I've been doing." So you go, a clue. Yeah. So it's one thing to have a healthcare professional that you use as a reference. It's the other thing to understand that you are the only one who cares, and you are the only one responsible for your own healthcare and your well-being. If you don't choose to take care of yourself, no one else is going to, because no one else really cares.
Absolutely. Hear, hear. So talk us through the 0 in then, because this is a really good one.
It's my favorite, favorite product, my favorite pill of all time. And I've taken a lot of capsules and a lot of supplements, and Clean Slate's really the foundation, right? But 0 in is something that is, there's never been anything like it. There's a major market for nootropics right now. Yeah. But this is something that is a combination of 5 actives and 2 catalysts. So it's seven ingredients that are strategically combined to feed your gut, right? This is what's different, is it's feeding your gut the ability to produce dopamine and serotonin on demand, and completely determined by how much you want. You can take 1 capsule and you're going to feel really good for about 5 hours. But depending upon what you're wanting to do, if you take a few more than that, you function at a level of which professional sports would say would be illegal. But the product's certified as banned substance free. But completely through your intention, right? And this is what's really important, is it's not a stimulant. It's completely controlled by what you want to do, right? If you're working through the day, you're going to be relaxed. You're going to be hyper-focused. You'll be able to multitask like crazy. If you're a woman, if you're a guy, we're going to get our tasks knocked out and be able to move on to stuff. If you're doing sports, you'll zone out. You probably won't fatigue like you're used to. You won't be stressed. So when it comes down to crunch time, where you see players choke, which is always the best part of watching professional sports, watching professional athletes just succumb to pressure. That's really the entertaining part of sports, not watching great feats, but watching just people crumble. That won't happen. If you want to do yoga or meditate, you will be more balanced and more relaxed than you've ever imagined. But what the crazy part is when you're ready to go to sleep and you put the intention, the focus into shutting down and resting, you'll be out like a light. But what's even more important is when you look at pathways, right? And this is why we have the Trinity. Clean Slate, and we didn't hit on this initially, is phenomenal at decalcifying your pineal gland. Why is that important? Your pineal gland is the light center of your brain, right? It's the light center to control your circadian rhythm, right? So your sleep-wake cycle, your hormone cycles, your spiritual center of the brain. It's what connects us to our source, the light. It's also where melatonin is produced. That's why people take so many melatonin supplements now, and you see so many commercials for pillows and mattresses, because people don't sleep well. Is it because they're not getting enough melatonin in their life? No, it's because they're not producing it, and you're imbalanced because your pineal gland is calcified. So Clean Slate will decalcify your pineal gland pretty quickly. Restore is going to help regenerate your gut. 0 in gives your body the ability to produce the dopamine and serotonin. So when you're ready to go to sleep, the serotonin goes to the pineal gland, converts to melatonin. That puts you out. Extra serotonin actually converts to DMT, so you dream like crazy. And we've had so many reports of that. So when you start to get into some of the complex science, you go, ooh, that's kind of cool. But I've never seen a product. And it's funny, when you look at the nootropic space, the top selling nootropics, these companies are now producing 3 or 4 different products to say, take this one during the day, take this one at night, take this one if you want this. We have one that does all of it, because it's just feeding the body exactly what it needs to do what the body wants to do, what you want to do. You completely control it. It's completely adaptogenic. And
so many people are just so needing to tune into their intuition and their inner knowing so much at this time. That is absolutely crucial, to have something that can help you move that along and help develop those skills is really, really important. I mean, animals have got it naturally.
And you see it turned on in the same thing in animals, but in people is one thing that we hear a lot from women, right? Is their intuition, they're trusting their gut, their connection increases. So it's like, turning up the volume, right? Right now, we're probably at a 2 or a 3. Some people are at a 1 or a 0. Some people might be a 4 or a 5. If they're doing really good, then you crank that up to 10 and you're like, oh, wow, there's a world around me that I've been missing. There's a feel and function of which that I was unfamiliar with. That this is kind of amazing.
Yeah, fantastic.
We want that. And it's the interesting part is we were made for that. That's what we were made to be, but we've been suppressed.
Absolutely.
So why not be amazing? I mean, if you have the option, if you have the ability, you have the choice, now you have the tools. Why would you not choose to just be amazing?
Completely. And we are going to be. So if people, Clayton, when people want to find out something, because one of the things I love about your company so much is the amount of science behind it as well. So you really balance the science and the sort of spirituality side of things, which is so, so important. But where can people go if they want to find out some of the scientific studies that you guys have been doing?
So you can go to the rootbrands.com. You can go that we have a bunch of groups on Facebook that you can provide some links to, especially Root Pets, which is amazing. But we have a collaboration with the International Science and Nutrition Society that they're putting a bunch of stuff together. So a lot of the case studies, a lot of the data, a lot of the scientific papers that coincide with what the products do and how they function will all be found there, as third party resources. And you're right, we have a massive amount of data and a lot of science, because when your wife comes from biotech and pharma and understands that landscape, there's a lot that can be done.
Fantastic. I think the products are absolutely brilliant. A lot of my clients and myself have brilliant results with our pets as well. And as you say, the great thing with those, and you should be able to use the same things for your pets and as yourself. That's really, really important. The quality for them needs to be exactly the same for us. I can advise people on different dosages rates for different animals and things. Obviously the humans, you've already said, if you're particularly sensitive, start off slow. And I would say just give it a go, people, and just see how really good you can feel when we get all these toxins out of our body and let our bodies perform in the way that they're designed to. It makes all the difference.
Yep, absolutely. And quality is everything. It's the one thing from an animal standpoint. My parents just retired, just sold their veterinary practice earlier this year. But chatting with my dad, you go over animal health, and and he practiced veterinary medicine for 45 years. And the one thing that when they had dogs and cats come into the clinic that had health issues, the first thing that was the primary issue was diet.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh, what are they getting? What are they getting? What are they eating? What's being put into them, and how is it affecting them? You know, so being able, and if you're a pet owner, you know, or, you know, especially with some of the larger animals, with horses and such, because they're such amazing energetic beings that it costs a lot to take care of them, right? But that's part of the deal, right?
Absolutely.
They provide so much value for us, right? That you want to do everything you can to take care of them. You know, the same as they turn around and take care of us, right? And, you know, the more quality you can put in them, the greater quality you're going to receive in return. So
yeah, absolutely.
Don't be afraid to invest heavily into your pets. And one thing that I've heard of a little, I haven't seen it personally because I haven't worked with any horses, but we've talked about the iridology aspects of what you can see in the eyes and what kind of outcomes you can get. But you take performance horses and you put them on Clean Slate and you give them a couple zero in before they go perform. Holy shnikes.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, you know, I've got a team of iridologists, of those students that qualify from me, and they're all taking the most amazing pictures. So we're really starting to collate all this evidence, and it's so important. Our animals depend on us, and in the links below the videos be everything you need to know. And I also, Clayton, do home prepared really good nutrition courses for dogs and cats, so the links for those will be below. Thank you so much for your time today. I absolutely love it. I love the products, I love the ethos of the company, and I love you and Christina. So thanks so much for your time, and we will catch up again soon.
Thanks for having me. We'll chat soon.
Yeah, take care.